Yo, is the mic on, Mike? And turn that mic on, Mike, and pour us another one. Let's do it right though, Mike. We feeling nice though, Mike. Gather round, and turn that mic on, Mike. And turn that mic on, Mike. Yeah, Garage Drinks with Mike. Woo!
Sweet as, Kalo. Welcome to the garage.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Otai, first choice, first time I've had this choice. Someone chose this for the podcast, but thank you. What do you reckon?
It's different.
It's different? How?
Yeah. Because you're used to the crunchy bits of apple.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it's good. Nice. It's one of these things that's not going to get stuck in the straw.
This is the first time I've made it. I've had it many a time. This is the first time I've actually made it.
I've never had it like this.
Ah. See, I normally have it and it's like crunchy and stuff. Have it off a spoon.
Yeah.
And like, you half drink it, you half spoon it out and eat it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try blending it. So I made it and then I blended it.
Nah, that's nice.
That's nice?
Yeah, I like that.
For those of you listening that might not know what otai is a mixture of, this one's a mixture of apples, grated coconut, orange juice, milk, and I put some crushed pineapple in there as well.
Nah, it's nice. It's good.
It was good, man. I used the coconut scraper. I made that when I was in Form 2. Hanging up there.
Wow.
How new? I haven't used it.
Do you know how to use it? Some people, it's a skill, eh?
Yeah. I'm really good at it. But no, it was good, like because I haven't actually used it in a while. But it was the first time my kids saw me use it. Yeah. So I lined them up, put them one by one on the coconut scraper, and let them have a turn.
Yeah.
How to do it.
I think before when we were growing up, it's probably a skill that was there naturally. But I've got a couple of nephews where we were up north, and my husband Jay had to like teach them how to
do it.
Yeah, how to do it. Not used to it.
Nah, it's interesting, but these are the things that is, if you grow up in the islands, this is like your bread and butter. You have to know this stuff. If you don't know this stuff, then
even them making a humour and stuff.
Yeah.
Just still has to like hand down the skills and things to the next generation. Yeah. Some of them's all like digital and stuff. They don't know the bloodline of the islands and stuff. So
yeah, I guess because over here you don't have to use it as much. You know, like whereas in Tonga, like there's like umu every Sunday, and so you're used to doing it all the time.
Yeah, and if you want to get grated coconut, just go to the shop and go get one.
It's true. It's true. Now, you are of Tongan Maori heritage. Is that right?
Yeah.
Talk to me first, like whereabouts is your family from in Tonga? Whereabouts is your family from here in New Zealand?
So my dad he's Tongan Balangi. That's where the last name Payne comes from.
Okay.
And we've got a reunion coming up next week, so we'll actually know the origins of that.
Okay.
A little bit more in depth because our granddad died before we were born.
Right.
So my dad is from Fasi.
Yes.
And Houma.
Fasi and Houma. So he grew up over there?
He grew up over there.
As a Hafakasi?
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, so because both my grandparents, my grandma, Maud Latu, then she married my granddad and turned out to be Payne. She was Afakasi and so was my granddad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and your mom's side is Maori?
My mum's Maori, so she's from Ngati Maniapoto, so in the middle of the King Country.
Right.
But she died when I was 10, so I don't really know much about my Maori side. But just recently we've been going back to the marae and connecting with my cousins and stuff, because I had to represent my mum when her brother passed away recently, probably September last year.
Okay.
So my older sister went into the marae and she was doing whatever they were doing, and I went and represented my mum in the kitchen because I don't like being in the front. I was always behind the backs and stuff. So yeah, and then people were just asking me, who are you and everything else like that, and I said, my mum's buried in our marae, and I'm the daughter of her, Muriel Moirua. And they went, so your bloodline runs thick through this region? And I didn't know until they actually told me my whakapapa that I can trace it back to, I think the founder of the lady that built the marae, and she had love for the man that she loved. So I actually can trace it back. So I was like, man, I actually really belong here.
Is this southern Waikato?
Yes,
Around
like Waitomo.
Waitomo, Te Kuiti.
Yeah,
that
Te Kuiti,
area.
that's...
Yeah. That's a great area. That's a great area.
Yeah, so we're going Pio Pio and Awakino, and so that's where we're from. Our marae is one of the... I think there's about 3 or 4 maraes, might get that wrong, but that are able to go to Waitomo free of charge.
Right.
Yeah, so that's our district. And like for me, because so things happened when my mum passed away, but and so I kind of turned my back on my Maori side. But for me, that's a bit selfish of me to keep my son away from there.
Right.
So he needs to know that he's part Maori.
Right. How did your mum and dad meet? Like, if he's in Tonga, did he come over here?
So my dad left Tonga and he came here with his uncle Clive Edwards.
Honourable Clive Edwards.
Yeah, Uncle
Is
Nicky.
this used to run the? Sorry, not I should say run, but used to be look after the police. Is that right in Tonga?
So him and Uncle Neti came over. Uncle Neti actually came over first and worked hard and brought the rest of his family over. So he is my grandma's first cousin. Because there was two kids, and then my grandma's mum is the eldest. Was the eldest, and she's I can't remember her name right now. And Uncle Neti's dad is Edwin. Yep. So that's how that all kind of came out. So my grandma and Uncle Neti are first cousins. So my dad came over with Uncle Neti and then worked hard to bring everybody else over from Tonga. And then he worked at Ford Motors in Plunket.
Okay.
And that's where my mum was.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So they met.
Plunket Manukau.
Yep. So that's where they met. But because I was really young, and then when mum passed away, these are stories handed down by my uncles and my aunties and people who actually watched that relationship.
Your mum passed away when you were 10. Is that what
Yes.
you said? Wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's fine.
Yeah, it happened to me as well when I was 10. My dad passed away. Yeah.
Small world.
It happens, you know.
Yeah.
Probably the last thing you expect. And so it's just you and your sister? You have a sister?
So my mum and dad were both in relationships before they met.
Right.
So I come from a absolutely blended as family.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it was me and then my little sister. So my little sister was 5 when my mum passed.
Very cool. And so are you pretty much raised here in South Auckland?
Yeah. Hard.
Whereabouts in South Auckland?
I say hard, but then my, all the islanders migrated to Grey Lynn and all of that. So my dad had a house in Kingsland, and my mum, she lived in Mangere. So I was actually like a real daddy's girl. So I was always with my dad and with my uncles. That's probably why I turned out as tomboy as I am.
Do you think you're a tomboy?
I know. I know.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's where I got the love for rugby as well.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, talk to me about that. I know you are a staunch Otago Highlanders supporter. How does that work? Like, why is it Highlanders and why is it not the Blues?
So, like me and my dad used to do a whole lot of postmortems after every rugby match.
Right, wow.
When he was alive. And I've always believed in the underdogs. And during the time, Highlanders were the underdogs.
Okay.
Men from the deep south.
Yeah.
But also, like, I always support the underdogs because I believed I was one myself. But, like, the area that they represent is beautiful. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. You go there, it is the, a picture paints 1,000 words. That picture down there, wherever you go, paints 1,000 words for the rest of the world.
It's a very expensive place to buy now. Buy a place down there.
Absolutely. But, yeah, I love it. If my husband said we'll move down there, we're gone. But he hates the cold.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's cold in the winter, but then it gets really hot in the summer as well.
I just love it. We went down there recently, and I just sat in the octagon and just listened to the bells. Like, literally sat there and just waited for them to go.
Yeah, it's picturesque, eh?
Love it down there. It is a bit quiet for when the Scarfies are not there.
Yeah.
But just to me, it's a home away from home. Yeah.
Talk to me about growing up here in South Auckland. Whereabouts did you grow up?
So I grew up in Mangere. I went to Mangere Central. And then from Mangere Central, I went to Better Intermediate. And then Better Intermediate, went to Otahu College. It was funny because my dad said, you've got to go to Papatoe High where my brothers went, or Asda, because my grandma's family took the Seventh-day Adventist Church to Tonga, and so it runs deep through our veins. And so he goes, which one do you want, Papatoe or Asda? And I went, how about Otahu? Did you hear what I said? I was like, and then like I think I've got a bit of a negotiation skills from my dad. So I was like, you know what, you put me in Otahu, and if my grade's 4, you can take me up.
Fair enough. Why Otahu? Why do you want to go to OC?
I just wanted to see what was behind that big building. So you go past it all the time.
True.
But I wanted to know what was behind that building. I didn't want to go where my brothers went or my family went. It's just like I've always been like that.
Try something different.
Yeah, like do something different and paint. I don't know, build my own pathway to and see what happens. I don't want to live life later on and go have any shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So.
And this is growing up back in the 90s, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. But it was hard though. So when my mum passed away, it was a couple of years later, and then so my mum and dad split up. And then when she passed away, we went to our dad. But the thing is, because we were still young then, going through those stages of life, and so our dad said, let's drop you off to grandma's house. Yeah, well, you get raised by your grandma so she can help you grow into woman. Yeah, so that's what happened. So we actually were raised by our grandma.
Okay.
Yeah, who's still alive.
So you stay most of the time at your grandma's or at your dad's?
My grandma actually lived with our grandma.
Okay.
We didn't know a look of Tongan then.
Didn't know any Tongan then?
Nah, didn't need to have it. But then my auntie got sick in Tonga, and Auntie Henny, and so she came over with her 6 kids. And they all stayed with my grandma, and my grandma's house was already full.
How big is this house?
3-bedroom house.
So your auntie comes over with 6 kids, and it's you and your sister, is that right? With your grandma?
Me and my sister with my grandma. It's my grandma, my auntie, my uncle Toby back then.
There's about 11 people now.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
And then I've got Uncle Ola, then Hine. Yeah, so that's how we were living.
What was that like?
Fun. It was fun.
Fun, eh?
Fun. This is the reason why we started speaking Tongan was because my cousins couldn't speak a lick of English, and we didn't understand Tongan. And so my cousin Isaiah, he wanted to warm up some food in the microwave, and he had that food in a steel bowl.
He blew up the microwave.
No. So he put it in, and I said, no, you can't do that. And what my actions to him was, he was thinking no, you can't eat. And he goes, and he told me, no, I'm hungry, in his whatever way. And I was like, no, you can't put that in a steel bowl to heat it up. And then my auntie came around because she heard us arguing, and then I got a couple of loves from left to the right because we were arguing. But she explained to him, and then from then on, I was like, okay, I've got to learn this language, because that's how I'm going to connect. Because I told my dad, my dad always popped over, and I was explaining to him, and my dad, he understood English, but he understood English, but his preferred language was Tongan. He's this white man, with hazel eyes, and you look at him and you think he's Balang. Yeah. As soon as he opens his mouth, it's like 100% fob.
Wow.
Wow. But yeah, so he explained it to me. He's like, you got to learn your language, because that's how you're going to help communicate with your family. So that's when we started learning. Still not fluent, but if people, talk to me, I'll understand. Sometimes when I'm talking and I fall about in my Tongan, my cousins always mock me. You're such a fob. It's fob. Okay, just get it right. Get your P's and your B's sorted. Yeah. So yeah, we were raised by our grandma.
Feel cramped though in that house of all those people, just 3-bedroom house. Like, what was your bedroom like?
So there was like 5 girls.
Wow.
Yeah, there was 5 girls in
Wow.
one room.
Like one big double bed.
So we had a double bed and a single bed. So me and my sister slept head to toe on one, and then 3 on the double bed.
Double bed.
Yeah.
I grew up like that. I grew up with my 2 other brothers going head to toe in a double bed in Tonga. Yeah. You make it work. You make it work. The thing is, I think as well, is like, when you're that age as well, you just accept it like this is the norms. You know what I mean? And you just, children are good like that. They adjust to that really quickly. But like if I was to tell you now to take your son and go live in like a house with 3-bedroom house with, and there's 12 people in there, it does something in your mind as an adult where you're like, doesn't compute, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid though, like, it's funny how lenient kids' minds are and how they adjust so easily.
Yeah. I think the driving force was our grandma as well. Like she kind of spoiled us. She's a hard-working lady. She's 102 and still alive and kicking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where does she work?
She didn't work. In Tonga, she probably worked a couple of jobs. Because my granddad died when she was quite young. So she went and did what she could to bring in the income. Great seamstress though. She could she could just sew whatever. She just look at you, measure you up, and that's how we survived. She probably used a whole lot of sewed a whole lot of uniforms for the church, the choir groups and stuff, and then all the little offcuts she'll make us little things. So that's how we got by. But we didn't know any different though. Like I'll come home, take off my uniform, and it'll just fall on the floor wherever it felt, and then she'll have food there, scones and stuff for us to eat, and then because I was a bit of a nerd, so I'll just go and read books and do my study or whatever it was, and then you have your food and you go to sleep. You wake up and your uniform's all washed and pressed and ready to put on. You go off again. Yeah. And that happened for all of us kids. Like we didn't know the difference.
Wow.
Yeah, all the kids that were in my grandma's care, she's raised pretty much everybody, all my first cousins. Absolute legend. Yeah.
And so, going through that, and you're going to Otahu College as well. When you're going through Otahu College, did you start to have an idea then of what you might want to do when you leave school? Because I know, like a lot of Tongans, a lot of Pacific Island youth, the parents or grandparents always encourage them just to study hard, study. But it's never sort of like specific as to what they should study or what direction they should go in. But did you have any inclination of like what you wanted to do?
Not really, but I got good marks when I was at school.
Right.
Well, I should explain that. So I got like Scholars Award 5th form, Scholars Award 6th form.
Wow.
This is at Otahu. But then 7th form was my muck around year.
Sure.
And so I failed 7th form. And then...
This is when they had bursary?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So...
I failed it too.
Yo. Yeah. So, I failed it, but then I spoke to my dad and I just saw the hurt that he had in his eyes. And then I spoke to my grandma and everyone was like, oh, go get a job then, work in the factory and stuff. And, bless their heart because that's all they knew. And then I sat down and I spoke to my grandma and my dad, and then they said, do you want to, is that what you want to do? And I was like, no, I want to go back and I want to give it a go again. I was like, you're going to face a lot of criticism, And I was like, well, it is what it is. And it was no one else's fault except mine. So I went back and repeated 7th form. And my teachers looked at me and they went, well, you're back. And a whole lot of students knew what it was like then.
But surely at the time, there's few students that do repeat.
Yeah. But it was, but it probably wasn't earmarked for me. how they, from that
Oh,
side.
I see. Because you'd won those awards like in 5th form and 6th form, and
Yeah.
here you are repeating 7th form.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, and then, like, I think the hurt that probably was on my dad's face probably said it like a whole lot. And I work hard to try and please him and stuff. So from then on, like, and then I did like, I was more to the commerce side of things. So I did economics and accounting and stuff.
I
Yeah.
hated those subjects. I really hated those
See,
subjects.
I hated science, man. No, but I did really good in science, in 5th form science. And then my science teacher, Mr. Shaw, he was really, really disappointed that I went commerce way
Right.
instead of science way. But great science teacher though. He was really good. Really probably out of the box how he taught, but it was really good. But I went commerce and I did stats and calculus as well.
You're amazing, Kalo.
I failed. Remember that one?
Like, I clearly remember failing stats, statistics, 7th form. But yeah, carry on.
Probably. I think back then Otahu was a really good school. The teachers were.
It's not a good school at the moment.
I'm not saying
I don't know Otahu College at all. I don't know Otahu College at all, so I don't know what you're measuring.
Oats is good. Like you had Mr. Singh who used to make you stand at the back if you didn't have and hold textbooks like a scarecrow.
Wow.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, no. So really.
Like,
but
hold them up here. Like,
you stand there and you
as
go,
a punishment.
and he's like, "Do you all feel like an idiot now?" You know.
Well, it's better than hiding, eh? It's
Yeah. So you walk in and then you get all no, Mr. Singh was awesome, and a whole lot of other teachers that probably moulded me to how I am. Even I had an English teacher, Mr. Hayes, and he's got a British accent. He used to be the principal at Maori College, and he would stand there prim and proper and he's like, "Kalo." That's all he says. Hey, that's all they got to say, and then No, so Otahu was a really good school, and being at my grandma's, all my cousins went to ASDA or the Seventh Day Adventist Primary School,
right.
But had to like make a roundabout turn and drop me off at Oates back then. But just going back, learning humility. I think that was the biggest thing for that year for me, is just being humble about things and stuff and that kind of things. But one thing that I learnt, we call ourselves the Freiburg kids because there were some other cousins that came over from Tonga. So there's a couple of other kids, probably another 5 kids.
Freiburg, is that the street that you were on?
Freiburg, Papataui.
Wow.
That's where my grandma stayed. 125.
Oh my gosh, I know where the street is. I do. I used to have this job where I used to deliver bottles of water.
Oh, no
Those
way.
little trucks that have like those bottles of water and drop them off to houses. I remember going, and my area was Papatoa,
Yeah.
Mangere. I remember going down Freiburg.
That's where we were at. And and then just, I don't know, something happened. We probably got a hiding or something. I don't know what it was. But then I looked at my little sister and I said, we're not going to always be like this. Trust me. And, I don't know how old we were. She just looked up at me, okay. And so from then on, I think I changed.
Right. This is in your second year, 7th form.
I actually can't remember when I decided to make a change.
Right.
I can't put my hand on it. But second year, 7th is I probably would have said that to my little sister, and then I failed, and then I realised I'm not doing what I said I was going to do. Because when my mum got sick, because she died of cancer, all I can remember her telling her was that I promised to look after my little sister. Yeah. That's all I can actually remember of me having a conversation with my mum. And then little drops of that, and then promising my little sister that don't worry, I got this. And then failing 7th form, and then just remembering that, and just the disappointment in my dad and my grandma, and then went back, and that's when I powered through.
So you passed bursary the second time through.
Yeah.
And then what'd you do after that?
I went to varsity, U of A, University of Auckland.
Ah.
Yeah.
Doing commerce.
Commerce. And then I majored in finance. Yeah, so double major in finance and management accounting. On my second semester there, I was a stats tutor.
On your second semester, you're a stats tutor.
Yeah.
While you're studying?
Second semester? Nah, telling lies. It was the second year. Yeah. I turned into a stats tutor, so I took stats 108.
You're teaching this?
Yeah. So
while you're studying for your degree?
Yeah, so I ended up being a stats tutor, like, there's people that...
Need extra help?
Yeah.
No?
They used to sit inside this lab because they used to use R stats or something, I can't remember. So people doing their assignments would come to you and ask you for help. So we used to mark assignments, monitor tests and all of that. Yeah. Wow,
and you get paid for this?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I was stupid with the money, so... Yeah, it's all good to be working, but like when you go and like think you're the man and just go, yeah, give your money out and stuff. So yeah.
But I imagine, like, I don't think so the other people that you're working with, are they students as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But I did. Yeah. But my first job was working at Pack and Save though.
Okay.
Manukau City.
Doing
checkouts.
This is after graduating or while you were studying?
No, when I did my. When I was doing first year 7th, I worked there for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I dropped Pack and Save when I went to varsity. So, yeah, but that was an important part of my life as well, working at Pack and Save.
It is, because it's quite humbling, eh? And you see everything.
Yeah, it's so funny what I learnt there, because I don't smoke, right? And people back then you could just buy it because it was on the little carousel, and they're like, "Oh, can you get some Winfield Red?" And I'll be like, "Okay, tell me when to stop when I get there."
Because you don't know the cigarettes.
I don't know cigarettes,
yeah. So
pour more menthol and pour more and all of that. Wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah.
So I learnt a whole lot of the my customer service skills and stuff through Pack and Save, and what else am I? Yeah, so yeah, and just working through my degree and qualifying or getting my degree and then telling my pops, and then it was all good.
Yeah, and because today you work in a bank.
Yes.
You're the bank manager?
Yes.
That's pretty trippy. How long have you been at this bank for?
Rocking up 19 years.
19 years. At the same bank?
At the same bank.
You would have seen a fair bit of stuff come and go, that bank.
Whole lot of changes.
Yeah.
Especially now after COVID, it's gone crazy.
You enjoy being a bank manager?
It's got its positives and negatives. For me, it's probably the development of my team, the development of my staff. I work along now my peers with people that are hired as like tellers, which is to me is probably the best thing that money can't buy. That just gives me satisfaction knowing that I've got some people that I've helped trained and become who they are now. But yeah, no, like it's opened up a whole lot of doors for me in terms of travel, being around the world, and now that I've got husband and son, taking them around everywhere. Like what little kid, like I never thought growing up from humble beginnings that I'll be able to take my son to Disneyland and both into like France and Japan. So that kid doesn't know how good he's got it, man. Yeah.
But you got a pretty strong drive about you, Kalo, which is why you're sitting where you are sitting right now.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
I don't like being told I can't do something. So I never got a hiding from my father ever in my life. The aunties, different story. But anyways, but I just didn't want to disappoint him. And yeah, I like the name I carry, Payne. It's not only my name, but it's all my ancestors' names. And whatever I do reflects. Now it probably reflects on myself, but how I've been taught, like if I did something when I was young, people won't say, oh, look at Kalo. They'll say, hey, taina Feleti. Wait, oh, sorry. Like look at Feleti's daughter. So they won't say it's me. They'll say it's Feleti's daughter. And so when he told me that, I was like, yeah, don't worry. I'll try not embarrass you as much as I can, Dad. So yeah.
Fascinating. That's a real strong Pacific outlook.
Yeah, but it's probably the driving force for things. And then like my dad always said, like when I graduated, whatever I do, try and do it to help out people, because that's what he did. Like he bought, like I don't know, but like a lot of people saying that my dad helped them quite a bit. Obviously he had his bad side. There's like a whole lot of his kids everywhere around the place, but that's like a lot of people remind me and stuff, and I'm like, well, that's got nothing to do with me.
A lot of people remind you that your dad has kids other places.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, that's why I asked. It's like one of those sake tau ilo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, haters gonna hate, right?
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, and
straight.
That's a chip on their shoulder, not mine. That's their burden to carry, not mine. And that's how I see life. Because it's
amazing. Sometimes it's amazing the lengths people go to just to like try and put someone down or make them feel a little bit smaller. It always surprises me.
Yeah, and what's worse is when it comes from your own people. It's like, honest to who, man? Yeah,
that's so true. That's so true. So
yeah,
true.
like it cuts deep, eh? Like we're frenemies.
That's so true.
Yeah, so yeah, and like for me, I don't really care. Like you carry that burden. Like don't lump it on me. I got enough of my own stuff to deal with. Yeah, so like my dad said, work hard and then try and make a difference in our people's lives. And so I've kind of that's been my motto. Always looking at someone's heart, not what they have, not what they've done, just seeing face value. And I've always gone with my gut instinct as well, because that's what he did. Yeah, went with his gut instinct, and yeah. And a lot of people are like, you've got to look at the facts and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, you're talking to me and I've been basing myself on my gut instinct, so don't come and change it because that's how I found you. So, yeah. I live by a different type of...
No, it makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
How long have you been a manager of your bank for?
13 years.
When you're a manager of a bank, it's not just that you're a manager of a bank, it's that you're in charge of all these other people and their lives and their problems. And how many employees do you have at your bank? I'm not going to name the bank, but like at your branch, how many people are you in charge of?
Like I'm in charge of 9.
Yeah.
9, yeah. 10. 9.
That's
9 right now.
9 different sets of problems that you got to juggle.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
It's different. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, like recruitment. So my sister passed away recently on my mum's side, and I was organising the guy and stuff, and then like her in-laws family comes up and goes, "Hey Kalo, how are you?" I was like, I have no idea who you are, because I'm pretty straight up. If I don't know who you are, I'll just say,
Yeah.
Do I know you? You gave me a job 12 years ago. I can't remember.
Wow.
Actually, I've been a manager for 15 years, sorry. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you gave me a job 12 years ago. Still can't remember. So yeah, I've been heavily involved with recruitment. And and I feel I've always been involved with recruitment, probably because I'm fair. a whole lot of people will probably feel a little bit sad for Pasifika people and Māoris.
Right.
But for me, I've always feel like if you've got the attitude, I can like to learn a growth mindset, then you're teachable. But if you come in here with your little sob story about things and all of that, that ain't a good excuse for me to give you a job. Yeah. And
Ain't that the truth, man? Ain't that the truth? Nah, I agree with that so much. Because, like, you know, a lot of people go for a lot of stuff, right? But at the end of the day, like, if they come with like an open mind, wanting to learn new things,
yes,
then 100% they're teachable, you know. But then other people come with like a preconceived idea of what the job should be, or what it should be like, or what they deserve.
Yeah.
And that's so much harder to teach because they're not open to learning new things.
Yeah, and that's where you're right, because that's absolutely the hardest thing, is you can't teach someone who doesn't want to be taught.
Yeah.
You can't teach someone who thinks they know better than you. Well, you actually can, but you've got to break them down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what yeah.
I do know what you mean. Yeah. I've done so many different jobs in the last probably 20 years at such different industries that I always know that, like, initially if I'm about to start a new job in a new industry, I know the first couple of weeks or first few weeks will be quite exhausting because it's taking on new information.
Yes.
But as long as I'm open to it, I know that I'll get there. I know that I'll eventually absorb everything and be able to do the job, like, competitively. But I know, like, if it'd be the opposite if I walked into like a different industry and I just got confused and frustrated because I couldn't understand the stuff that I'm being taught. That's different because my mind is closed, and so I'm not open to receiving on the new information.
Yeah, and I try and explain to them, this is like, I have a process in like how we do things, or how I kind of teach. Some people probably latch on, some people, because I'm, you know, not one size fits all. And, you know, I've probably, you know, made a couple of people, you know, angry at me and stuff like that, but I mean, I am how I am, and yeah, I mean, not everything's going to run smoothly, but if you're coming to, and that's what I'm trying to instill into my own son, is have a growth mindset. Be open to things. Don't think and have a plan, and that's the plan. Don't make it rigid. It's got to be flexible and flowing, especially around COVID. Like, if you're adjustable to change, and able to kind of predict or prep yourself as much as you can for that change, you're good.
What's it like managing a bank through COVID?
Full on.
So obviously, I know, are there still some banks that are working from home? There's still quite a few staff, eh?
Yeah. We like, we've it's a lot more flexible now. But being in branch, you got to probably be there to help serve your customers and stuff. The technology pickup has had to be accelerated due to, you know, like, we don't know when we go back into level 4 or 3, and, you know, just trying to teach people who were probably resilient or didn't want to move to the technology uptake is probably one of the biggest or hardest things to try and catch up on. You know, people have just been resistant to it. I mean, like, now they've actually forced to actually, you know, pick up a new skill when, you know, technology's been around for a while. But also the changes to the technology that we've already got in place. And then you've got the other side where people have lost their jobs. And it's hard sometimes where people think that we're a charity as well.
Why do they think that?
Because it's an expectation that they get an overdraft or get this loan, or, you know, you need to help me. We're not a charity, we're a business. And if people haven't prepped themselves for these things, then why is it the bank's fault in general? Because that's what we've probably had a lot. Oh, you know, you gave me this, you gave me that. Really, well, you lived in a house for like 20 years and there's no issues back then, but now all of a sudden it's our issue. Yeah. That's just a little generalisation about, how it is. And that's why financial literacy is probably really important. And I see in our, probably not, in our people that don't prep for, things that would happen, probably fall down, and it's a lot harder.
After level 4,
Yeah.
I think it was about this time last year, we went on to level 3, but then into level 2. Did your bank anticipate how busy it would get?
No, I don't think any banks anticipated.
It went crazy, right? It just
Absolutely.
went insane.
Yeah.
What was it to do with? Because I know that property rates, property prices all of a sudden just went crazy. Is it to do with that? Or was it to do with, why did it get busy for banks?
How would I? Because we're cutting out one of our channels, which is branches. And the inability to be able to liaise with staff, if you've got an issue, like everybody had to be separated. So I worked at a different branch during the first COVID lockdown, and it was the unknown. Like, see, now hindsight's a great thing, right? But when it went to level 4, we didn't know what was going to happen in the world. So everybody panicked. Not allowed to go to work. You have to carry a card, have to show the cops that you are an essential worker. It's funny because banks weren't classified as essential workers.
Right.
But we actually are, because how are people going to get money in their accounts? Just saying.
Of course.
Like all the nurses and doctors, they're skipping the queues and stuff, and they're getting there, and then we're still waiting in the queue. Yeah, so that was funny. But I mean, for me, your job's still going to be there. You don't, life or death situation. So I still waited in the lines anyway, so it didn't really bother me.
Talking about the lines at the supermarket.
Oh, master, that was like long as.
Crazy,
and you got to stay away from other people, not touch that. But yeah, so back then it was probably a whole lot of the unknowns. Like every business, and also businesses were shut down, and like they owed, so the trickle effect, right? Business shut down, can't make any income, can't pay their loans or whatever it is. A whole lot of stuff, can't pay their staff can't pay their mortgages. It was just, so that's how it got really, really busy. Yeah.
Is it still that busy now?
Because of the housing market's crazy, and with all the construction and stuff going on, especially where I am now, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah. So
I think because traditionally, like people go for like a home loan or something.
Yeah.
Normally, I think it takes probably a couple of days or 2 to 3 working days before like a bank can get back to did I buy it. But I knew that at one stage it got to like about 2 or 3 week wait before the paperwork was even touched.
Yeah.
Because of the long list of people applying to get mortgages.
Yeah, and like it's probably still really crazy right now. There's a whole lot of mortgage brokers and stuff that have come to the market now because the market's really hot, and the demand to get these approved or declined, it's pretty full on. But if paperwork was like all ready to go, it would be a clean process.
Just having everything together.
Yeah, but if people are like, I forgot
missing
that,
bits
can
and
you just
pieces.
do this? It just delays the process.
You're somebody that knows a little bit about property. Right? Why do you think that property has gone so crazy in New Zealand?
I'm not sure, but it's because we're probably the most
safest,
freest non-COVID country.
So does that mean that there's people overseas that are buying land here in New Zealand, or does it just mean that it's returning New Zealanders, or is it just New Zealanders here buying more property?
All of the above.
Oh my God.
So, expats coming back, putting a strain on that. People in New Zealand knowing that expats are coming back to New Zealand, buying a home so they can rent it out to them. Superstars like, let's go down to New Zealand where it's nice and safe and things. Because I heard it was like a bit crazy around COVID and stuff. So it's all of the above. Everybody just wants in with New Zealand. And plus, our population is growing. Absolutely growing. So there's high demand everywhere. So it's like all these 4 channels of people trying to get into the market. And what's sad is that the first home buyers are probably like losing out if they don't have any help from their parents or whatever it is. So yeah, that's where it's probably a high demand in little New Zealand.
Do you think there should be more stuff done for first home buyers to get in?
Absolutely.
What sort of stuff do you reckon could be put in place?
Probably, okay, this is my point of view, a whole lot of financial literacy in the schools right now. I mean, and this is a like kind of passionate kind of thing for me, is like getting told how to actually use your money. Like you could earn a whole lot of money, but if you're not wise with it, it doesn't mean anything. Or you can, you have a job that doesn't get enough. You don't get much. But if you're wise with that, then you're better off than the person that actually has all the luxury goods and stuff. So that's how I see it.
That's so true, eh? Just common sense stuff. Common sense stuff if it was taught more in high schools about how to use money and how to save, how to actually save and what it means to save, and because that's not taught.
It's not taught. However, I was taught by my dad.
You're lucky. Like how many other kids do you know taught by their parents on how to save and stuff? I don't think it's a lot.
Yeah. So my dad had his own home, right? I've never rented in my life. I didn't know what renting was until I came into where I work. But like he had his bills though, and we did have power bills and water bills and stuff. And like when we moved back with Dad, and that's where I went to go work at Pack and Save to get money coming in, was I'd see him like take his money out, like this pretty old school, right? And he had his bills there, and like he'll just put money aside for all of those bills, pay that, pay the mortgage then, and then whatever we had left, put a little bit aside, and then from that's what we had to live on. And if we had no means for it, we ain't getting it. So we grew up. So when we moved back to Dad, in the fruit shops, you'd have these like the bala fruit in a box. Yeah.
They discount it off, make it cheaper if it's like half rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be a mixture of fruit inside that. We would get that.
So he was always good with his money.
Pretty much. Like my family's got stories about him being real cheapo, but he did it. He did it because and it's so funny because like we used to have bombs, right? And I'm like, Dad, man, can we get another car? Look at them, they got like a flash car. He's like, back in Tongan, we had the first car. My family did, so they're just catching up.
You say that like he always had property. So how did it come down through his family?
No, he worked hard and
bought his first home.
Yes.
Right.
So he was like he's not the eldest. Auntie Kalo was the eldest. I'm named after her. My Mikitanga. And then Auntie Henny, who the one that got sick and had to come here with all her kids. Yeah, so I'm named after those two awesome aunties. They're both with the Lord now. My dad's two favourite sisters. Oops, sorry to that.
This is the importance though of like buying property. You see, like imagine if your dad hadn't bought that first or didn't buy a house, or buy property, how that would set you up. Like you say that you've never rented before, which is quite lucky, but it's you've been set up from like your dad being able to like get his foot into the housing market, to come down through you, and then now through you to your son. It makes it so important, I think, for people listening, like how important it is to invest your money or like use your money wisely in buying property and what that does for your next generation coming after you.
Yeah.
It's setting them up to try and succeed.
Yeah, and I think like right now, we've got awesome products now, like that can set you up. if you're willing to sacrifice. Now, I think right now, because like you get things instantly in this day and age, like Uber Eats. If you don't want to go in the cold weather, you get someone to deliver your kai. Like, you know, it's like it's an instant. Yeah. But when the journey to buy a home right now is probably a long journey. And if you don't have that patience, like a lot of people have got flash cars, right? They'll go and buy, and I've got nothing against having a flash car. But if you can pay that bill and, you know, put petrol in your car and stuff like that, why can't you actually put money aside to be able to help get you into a home?
Also, your flash car depreciates.
Yeah, it does.
Your property doesn't.
Oh, mate, yeah, you probably won't. You should have seen our first house that we bought.
Yeah.
We bought it because my niece, like, we went to go and look at homes and stuff, and then
this is you and your husband buying your first property.
No. So the house, like, it was me and I bought the house because my sister had a kid, and they needed a home. So I told my dad, I was like, oh, you know what? This is because this house that we have was before. I told my dad I wanted to get a house because my little sister needed something, and I've always promised to do that. That I would look after her. And then my little niece went into this house, and then my little niece took off, and we're like, whoa, where is she? And she's like, surprise! Like, so she was not scared of the vibe of the house.
Right.
But this house was a munted ass.
Right. Where was this house?
Manuriwa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a 2-3 bedroom.
A 3-bedroom
Yeah.
home.
This is back in, which year?
Far out.
Beginning of 2000s? No.
I can't remember. I've been in there for about 14 years.
Okay.
2006.
5.
Yeah, 5, 6, something like that.
7. Maths is so bad. You're exposing my maths.
You put me on the spot, bro. So, yeah. Anyways, so back then, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then so we bought that home.
And back then, like, just for clarification, then, Maori was probably a place that you got cheaper house prices.
Absolutely.
Because at the time, it's, I don't want to say one of the more undesirable places to buy property, but let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, well, I don't mind. Like,
yeah.
Living in the hood. I've always been in South Auckland, so it don't mean, it doesn't mean anything to me.
But it's an investment. It's an intelligent investment. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, and where we bought was like not far from the train station. And then when my dad was like, oh yeah, this is a good place. It's like, why? All the fruits at the back. Oh my gosh. But because we're not far from the train station.
Right.
Public transport. Yeah, and I was like, man, like, it's the hoods. It's like, don't worry. Because we're in Grey Lynn, back in the days, used to be the hood. And now look at it. Yeah, so, so we bought there, and, just, like, I used to get a lot of crap from some of my family and stuff, like, man, are you sure you're a bank manager? Yeah, like, what'd you buy here for? Should be, at another fancier place. But I've always been like that. People probably see me and not know that I work at the bank. Because it's just how I don't know.
Well, people have a stereotype of what a bank manager should look and be like. Hey,
yeah.
They have a thing in their mind of like, bank manager should be probably even white.
I was about to say, yeah. You give me a definition of Polynesian bank manager. Yeah, Polynesian Maori. Yeah, and then I'll follow that curriculum. Yeah, but I'm probably not your average run of the mill. Yeah, yeah. So we got that, and and that's how it kind of started. Right. Yeah, but it was hard yakka. So when we moved in, it was like we had a bedroom suite. But we don't have no lounge suite, no curtains, no fridge, but it was our home.
Yeah.
And then little bit by little bit we
start adding to it.
But it was like we had green carpet with pink wallpaper. Yeah, and like, yeah, it was, yeah, really, like, yeah. But the bones were really good.
Yeah.
The bones were really good. Like, so, we've done it up a little bit, like, now. And,
Can I ask how much you bought it for at the time?
235,000.
Yeah.
200 and something. Yeah.
What do you reckon it's worth today?
About 8.5.
Crazy, right? Crazy, right?
But it's so funny because we've got a bit of a backyard, right?
Yeah.
We've got heaps of people knocking on the door. Can you subdivide your house? So actually, we could actually subdivide the back section and flick it off for more. Yeah, but anyway, that's a get off my property and leave me alone. No, but you know what? They come and knock on the door and like, is your landlord here?
Oh, yeah.
Have you got the details of your landlord? Mate, so get gone. Yeah, so, it was a sacrifice, and we had to sit on the floors. We didn't have a fridge or a washing machine or whatever it is. It was in the most undesirable place in Rewa, we didn't have much, but that sacrifice now has opened up a whole lot of opportunities, not for only myself, my husband, for our retirement and stuff, because we'll be able to get some other things as well, but also for our son, if he wants to subdivide that place and build a house at the back.
You still got that place?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you had that was the first place you bought, and then you eventually sold it, but no. Okay.
Because my father said when he died, don't sell the house. So here we are, haven't sold the house.
Who stays in it now?
Hey?
Who stays in it now?
We do.
You still? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow. Yeah, so my dad, before he died, so, we got my husband, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah. No, my dad lived in that home.
Yeah.
And I he lived in there probably for 2-3 years before he passed. So yeah, his memories in there, you can't give me $1 million or $1 trillion to sell it off. Yeah. So my son sleeps in his room now. Yeah. So that's how, I love my pops.
A family house now.
Absolutely. And so, Dad said don't sell it. And I haven't. I'll never. So we just, that's how it's been.
As a bank manager, because you were talking to me before, your dad told you to do something to help your people. How do you try and do that through being a bank manager? Is that through recruitment?
Probably not recruitment. It's the customers that come into our bank.
Right.
Them not knowing that there's a different avenue besides coming in to get a loan for your misnale, or coming in to get a loan for your kawenga or putu or something like that. Branching out to Samoans, for the whalaulaves and everything else like that. Because that's, I don't know, but in my line of work, that's what I've seen people come in because they need this. Or even they've got a flash car, and then another person's got another flash car. Then they got to come in and get a better car. So I see that.
So what do you tell someone when they come in and that they're getting a loan out because they either want to get a flasher car, they want to give money to their church?
It's really hard when it comes to the church side, because with us Islanders, God for everything, God first. But it's educating them, and trying to teach them, if you had saved all this money because it's not as if you didn't know that the misnali is coming up again, or not that you didn't. Putos and stuff is hard, but just teaching them, do you have to give all of this? Is this necessary? Some of them would say because it's the family name, and it's whakamā if you give a little bit, whatever.
And what do you say to that?
And I was like, why? I just question them, And they'll come with a reason and stuff, and like this, like, oh, please, Kalo. It's like, okay then. But if it's in with the criteria, then we've got to go with that. But as long as I've planted a seed, like, why do you have to give like uawhi or whatever it is? Why can't it just be tahawhi? Like, to do that, and then everybody give their little bit. Even in our family, you know, when we all, because we're such a massive family, we all chip in like $50 or whatever it is to try and help. And my dad instilled that as well. Like, he'd call a family meeting and he'd be like, okay, this family, you guys got to do this much. This family, you got to do that much. And it kind of vahied everything out. And yeah, it's that's how it kind of is, just sharing out a whole lot. Not only one family has to give a ridiculous amount.
Because it can get pretty crazy, eh?
Oh yeah, when you go against culture and against the cultural, the Western world, like, it's hard, but there's a fine line that you can try and get through. And I believe I've found that line.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
you're not giving too much.
Not giving too much, because like, a lot of people do it because they feel that they're gonna be loved and stuff. You actually can't buy love. Love is through your bloodline. Love is through love is free. And so,
but also when they're giving money at the missionary, it's also because a lot of the times the amount gets read out in public.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either.
That's crazy, right?
That's like
public shaming. That's like public shaming.
Yeah. And lucky I don't go to one of those churches, because it'll be Kalo, $20. Like, I'll just sit there and I wouldn't care.
Wouldn't even blink. Neither would I.
I actually wouldn't care. And that's me, because it's not right to do something like that. But, you know, people may agree with that, and that's their point of view. But for me, my point of view is, you know, you can read out my 2 cents or 20 cents. I'm not worried, because if that, like, it depends on the heart that you have, right?
You should just bring a brick. You want to build a new church? Here's my brick.
Like, so they're giving money to, like, you know, to help the church and serve God, right, or whatever it is. But if your heart's not right, then He ain't gonna give you more blessings. And most of the time, all the kids are like, "Man, that's my, you know, kind of thing." But you know, if you know, the lady that gave 2 pence, you know, and she gave all that she could with a clean heart, you know, that bestows a lot of blessings on her. But, like, you know, person is like given, like, you know, $1 million or whatever it is, and yeah, that's me, like, you know, or, you know, whatever, if there's a purpose behind it. So yeah, for me, and I think that's also been a different kind of avenue that I have as well. Maybe because I actually didn't know that I was, like, my dad was Afakasi though.
You didn't know?
No.
You just thought he was Palangi?
I didn't even know that my last name was
Payne. Yeah,
like, I didn't even know that there was a Palangi name.
How do you not know there's a Palangi? There's a Y in there.
Because my whole family had Payne.
Oh. Okay.
And we were Tongan. Like, I didn't even know that. I actually didn't know.
It's like how some islanders have, like, German last names, you know?
Yeah. Like, I actually didn't know. So when I went to Otahu College and they're reading out, oh, Payne. Like, yeah, I'm Tongan. Didn't fathom the idea. Like, I mean, because didn't I start talking Tongan until later in life, right?
Yeah.
And all my uncles were last names were Paynes, and my cousins, so I just thought it was just a normal name, a normal Tongan name. I
hadn't heard of it before. When I first met Junior, I hadn't heard of Payne before.
Yeah.
But hey, from Fussy, man, I know where Fussy is.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Smith. Oh, mate. Yeah. So then, like, we double barreled our name, right? Yeah. Because, like, I asked, we got married after my dad died.
Right.
And it was like, talking about my husband, like, I met him, and then my dad was, like, dying, and then I said, "Hey, Dad, do you want to meet my friend?" "My friend? Wait, I'm going to die soon. Go see Jesus. Better go with a clean heart." And that's exactly what he said. And he was like, "Yeah, okay then." So Jay met my dad on Tuesday and Thursday, and then Dad died on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But on the second visit, I asked Dad, I was like, "Hey, Is it alright if we get married?
How long had you two been going out for?
Probably.
How long had you been, or should I say, how long had you been hiding this from your father?
He knew I had friends. Oh, it's funny because my dad's word was his word. And like he said, once I graduate, I can go ever. You know, so once I graduated, because I was such a tomboy, he had no issues.
Yeah, right, yeah.
My family were just actually wondering if I'll ever find someone because I'm so tomboyish.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. My grandma actually sat me down and said, "Do you like boys or girls?"
Well, that's very open of her. That's very open. Like, that's very forward thinking. Hey,
Man, she's like, I just want to ask you a question. I was like, "Whoa, Nana, where's this coming from?" She's like, "Yeah, because you're not lalo bisi or in the front when we, like, you know, when you sing in the church, I just stand up. I don't really care. And you're not even like, you know, those kata ones, eh?" And so she's like, "I'm just getting a little bit like, you know, I've got to get ready. Like, are you?" And I was like, "I actually haven't even thought of it. But can I go play basketball with the cousins?" I'm always outside with the boys, always playing with them or more. I mean, you know, my dad being the eldest son of the family, always with them. I was going out for probably, I actually can't remember, about a year. No, that's a lie. Less than a year, I think. Yeah. And then you know, he's from Samoa. My husband's from Samoa, so I said, "Oh, Dad, here he is." And Dad was really sick, but he stood up and he goes, "Hello," and he met him. And my husband wore the Manu Samoa t-shirt. First time meeting my father. I'll never forget that. Anyways, and so
was that a good thing or was it a bad thing?
I was like, "Why are you wearing this for?" But then my dad was like, "Oh, so my little sister, she married someone from Homer. That was her first husband." And then my dad turns around and goes, "So Rose goes to the bush, but you go from the bush across the sea all the way to the other island." I was like, "Oh wow, thanks." Yeah. No, but he met him on Tuesday, and then Thursdays when I had the conversation with my dad, because you know he was getting more sick. I said, "Hey Dad, you know, what do you think of him?" He goes, "Yeah, he's got a good heart, eh?" And that's what we always talk about, is the heart. And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, and he goes, and I said, "Do you think it'll be good if we get married?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll give you my blessing." Yeah, and then Sunday he passed.
Wow. It's such a nice thing. Like, I'm really glad that Junior got to meet your dad before he passed. Yeah. And Junior has an amazing heart. He really does. He has an amazing heart. Your husband is one of the few people I know that's always giving. Right, Kalo? Were you expecting the tears to come when you were coming to this podcast?
No. Tried not to.
I never really know whether how deep a podcast is gonna go. But then next minute, we're here.
Yeah, no, that was probably because at that moment in my life, I lost a rock and I found another.
Okay, you're gonna make me cry soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Junior's a fantastic dude. I've always thought this. I've always thought, because I kind of know him from working a little bit with him at the gym.
Yeah.
Right. But I've always told my wife as well. I was like, man, such an amazing investment that gym made when they hired someone at Junior, you know, to help run the gym, because regardless of everything else, Junior's drive is real pure and simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, Kalo, because we work you and I have worked amongst a lot of Pacific Islanders over the years, and see a lot of people come and go and stuff, right? We know there's some people out there that have their own agendas. You know what I mean? Like, we'll come across those. You come across those people, like, you know. And hey, like, I'm always like, you do you, like, and I get it, you know. But Junior doesn't have like a sort of hidden agenda or stuff, or like when he's working at the gym or when he's helping people. I do remember first looking at the schedule of trainers that work at the gym. There was a guy named Pitbull. I was like, there's a guy named Pitbull. Okay, calm down. There's a coach helper.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to meet these guys. And yeah, but he really is a helper. Very humble, always has a lot of humility, and is always about helping other people better themselves, which is not an easy thing, because sometimes people are a little bit closed off.
Yeah.
But if you can help people sort of see the better in themselves, or how they can be better themselves, then that in itself is a gift that you have.
Yeah.
Gift of giving. How long have you guys been together for?
12. We met each other in 2008.
You're gonna give me the maths thing again. 13 years.
13 years. Going on 13 years, and then married for 10. I just shy of 10. Yeah, nah. He's good. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Yeah. And you have an amazing son as well. Who's very quirky. Yeah, he's quite different. He's got a different sense of humour. He also plays rugby, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's the hooker.
Yeah.
He hasn't, the only time Filetti's made a try or something is when he's angry, because he's just a gentle soul. He'll bust through kids, because he's got a Tongan body, he's got his mum's body, right? He busted, one kid bounced off him and he stopped it, and he was started crying because that kid was crying too.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's frustrating for me. I'm like, who cares? Just keep on running. Yeah, but he's a gentle soul. He won't give up. I
know a few islanders like that. I know a few island boys are like that are naturally built for carnage, but their heart is they have such tender hearts.
Yeah,
it really hurts them when they hurt other people. Or
yeah.
I know a kid that's a boxer that's like that.
Wow.
And, but it holds him back because he doesn't want to inflict too much pain on his opponent. And I do know other kids that are rugby players that can be beasts, but it really affects them when they hurt other kids.
Yeah, and
it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. I mean, every child's a blessing.
Yeah.
And just seeing and we've just accepted the fact, even though we're rugby fans and diehard rugby and follow the World Cup wherever it goes, if that's not on the cards for him, so be it. It's his cards, not our cards. So we always ask him, do you want to play? Do you want to play rugby? Yes, Mama. Okay, we're in for this year. And so that's why we manage and coach our rugby team, because of him. Yeah. And so we've been doing it for about 4 years now. Oh yeah,
good on you guys, man. It's always hard to find coaches or managers, especially at this sort of level, and the kids' teams as well.
Yeah.
It's hard for parents to step forward and say, okay, I'll do it. Imagine if you guys stepped out, it'd probably be quite hard for the team to try and figure out who would take over from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, when we enrolled him first, they had no coach and manager.
Yeah.
And the president or whoever it was, one of the people on the junior committee at the rugby club, said, okay guys, you guys don't have a coach or a manager. Without them,
do it.
Yeah, without them, you
don't
these
exist.
kids can't play.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay then, coach, manager. Yep. And then Jay, because I was stepping forward and Jay was stepping back.
Yeah.
But that's probably the best thing that I've ever put my hand up for.
Right.
Yeah.
Managing a boys' rugby team.
Oh, yeah, mix. We've got one girl.
Okay.
Yeah, but these kids are awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. They because I'm Tongan and Jay's Samoan, we kind of get given the kids with parents that probably English is not their strength. So we've got some Samoan speaking parents and Tongan ones. And that's how we give back to the community. Because if you listen to the amount of talk in different languages at our rugby trainings, honestly, yeah. But with the Tongans, because most of the Tongans in the forward pack with me, you're talking to these kids as if they're their own little nephews.
Yeah.
And you're telling these kids, you better do it. You're going to get a hiding or whatever it is. and you hear the parents laughing and supporting me and everything, like, you know. But our parents are awesome. The club's awesome. Our team is a brotherhood or a group of friends. And for me, through this team, I'm not only doing rugby, like a rugby team. I'm doing a group of friends that are going to help each other in the future. One of them will have their own scaffolding company, or one of them will be a carpenter, and then they'll all connect together and help each other. And help build that resilience within each other. Like, you know, the saying goes, you know, village raises a child. And like some parents have said that you're part of our village. I've had some kids who probably had it hard at home or whatever it is, or, you know, someone's passed away and they didn't know how to handle it, but coming to a training, they've broke down, and I've taken them away and you know, walked with them, and they've just, you know, opened up to me.
So much more than just a title, managing and coaching a kids team.
Yeah,
there's so much more. Yeah.
I absolutely love these kids. They get treated exactly as if they're my own. So all they get, like, you know, growled at and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'll hug these kids and I'll say, you know, well done. You know, learn this or whatever it is. So they're my kids for every hour for training and while they're on the rugby field.
And having fun as well, such an important thing.
Oh mate, we're doing orange justice and everything on that field. Like the challenge had set, and I was like, you guys can't do this, or, you know, the floss or whatever it is, but we all get in there. But it's hard because we're 8 years old, 9 years old, but we have to play in the 9 years old, 10 years old category because they're bigger.
Weight restrictions.
Yeah. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's just part of what the world's like. Like, you can't have cotton wool around your kids all the time and stuff. So, you know, we just deal with it. Because if you roll over and, you know, don't get up and fight again, then how are you going to live life? Because life is not always going to be fair, but it's how you build that resilience, and now that helps you get to where you need to be.
As a manager,
man,
sometimes, because I remember when my son was playing at that age as well, and still today as well, some of the parents, man, on the sideline, some of the parents go 100. It's like when the whistle blows and the game starts, they turn into something else. Like, they're nice and everything, but once their child is playing, they just become something else, where they're yelling at their kid and stuff, and it's hard to watch. And sometimes I feel like I've heard people say, step up and say things like, hey, calm it down. They're just kids, right? But I always find that it's the parents that probably didn't play as good when they were younger are probably the most vocal and the most hard out at their kids.
Yeah, for me, it's because I'm yelling at the kids all the time. But I've got awesome parents, absolutely blessed with the best parents, who they would, like, all the Tongans are just laughing at their kid or whatever it is, like, you know. And you do have some of them saying, you know, yelling at their child and stuff, but you don't hear the F-bombs. Like, some of them, like I did, you know, have a couple and just have that chat. Hey, it's not the right way how we do things here. But like, yeah, I mean, but like the kids, I'm yelling at them constantly on the side.
But you're yelling at them in a constructive way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different from like, why did you drop the ball? It's like stuff like that, and the kid can hear them.
Yeah. Because I've probably got a louder voice and I'm constantly at it. They probably, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. But man, my boy gets it too. I was like, flatty, like, it's just one of those. But how I try and, so we were getting hammered by a team a couple of years back, and the team on the other side, they were a bit mouthy.
Like, the team was, or the parents were?
The parents were on the side. And so my parents were like hearing that, and I was like, don't worry. And then like I got my team together and I said, okay, let's talk about it on the field. Like, let's show them what we're actually made of. So we actually strategized and put that team to shame. Like, you know, we worked hard to try and beat that team. the other team that we had. One of them said something. One of the parents on the sideline said something real nasty, and then I just looked up and I didn't say anything. I just looked, and that made that person that said it uncomfortable. Okay, so if you're getting stared at by someone like us, it's like, oh, let's back it up. Yeah. So I didn't say anything. I just stared. And that's something that I've probably been trained at, being a manager at the bank. Because you do get, your lanu is something that you can't hide. And I find sometimes there's for me being in the corporate world, it's a lot harder for probably us Pasifika people to adjust to, because you either turn real whia palangi or you give up. Now, it's because it's a different world. But learning to know how to, play the game, or learning how to know how to, like, just when you go in a rugby match, right? You see the tactics and stuff that you'd have to do and how you play that. It's similar to when you get into the corporate world. But I don't think that knowledge is out there. Like, people will come at you and say, all these fancy words and stuff like that. And if you're not prepped for it, you're going to
feel lost.
Feel lost, and you're going to feel stupid and look like an idiot, and you're going to give up and stuff. But if you taught how to come back to those critiques or those questions, then we'll have a lot more of our kind back in the corporate world, which is awesome. Yeah, which is what I wish for.
Do you think that's slowly changing? As more and more islanders, Pacific Islanders, step up into the corporate world, do you think that slowly changes? Where they don't have to change too much of themselves to be whia palangi.
Yeah.
They can, to a degree, hold who they are.
Yeah, their identity. Yeah. Slowly. But what I've faced is when they turn into whia palangi, or when they rip off our own kind. But that happens in every culture, like, don't get me wrong.
Stepping on other people to make your way up.
That's when you're just going to bite your head. No, but
it's ugly when you see it, eh?
Yeah, it is, and that's just sometimes when you think that's the game, but don't get me wrong, that is a game. Like, stepping on people to get to the top, and that's, if people do that's their choice. But for me, I just seeing people, as you move up, help other people to move up as well. Because the more there are of your people that that are similar to you, man, that's making a difference.
It's interesting that you talk about that. Something that something I wonder, like, whether it exists amongst Pacific Islanders, because they think that there's a lack of positions at the top. But I think there's room for everyone.
Absolutely.
But sometimes people panic and they're like, I can't help this person because they'll become better than me. You know what I mean? But if you help someone to become better than you, then you yourself are bettering yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You line yourself up with people of your likeness, and that's just probably something that doesn't happen as often. But don't get me wrong, there's a whole lot of networking out there. Like, we can network as much as we can to help each other, but it's knowing who's got the best ultimatum for you, though. Like, we were part of the YES scheme. We were part of the judging panel for business students.
Okay.
Just recently, and just hearing some of the schools from South Auckland, amazing ideas, but just learning how to deliver that idea just needs a little bit more looking into, or something, or a little bit of help. But then, like, there's a whole lot of ex-students from certain schools around here that would willing to put their hand up to help out, but whether they've been approached and stuff, there's that connection. So there is help that that people want to give, and there's help that people want to get, but it's just actually connecting those. Man, once those connections are made, there's no stopping anybody. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
How did becoming a mother those years ago change you or change what you did?
Me becoming a mom, it was good, but it was hard.
Becoming a parent's never going to be bloody easy, is it?
Mate, if there was a dictionary or
Yeah.
something, an app that could tell you what to get ready for, yeah. I mean, we only got one, but yeah. It was hard for me because I didn't have either of my parents.
Yeah. That's why I asked.
Yeah. I did have my grandma. So when I was in labour, I called her. It's like, oh, Nana, it's sore. You know, that's all I could muster out. And, you know, she's had 10 of her own. Legendary. That's why I'm a massive family. Anyways, yeah, but, you know, got through it. Had our baby through emergency C-section.
Right.
10.8 pounds. Tongan.
Whew.
He's Tongan. He's got a Tongan body. But yeah, she it was pretty hard because I got sick during that time. But my grandma did not sleep until she heard that I was fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Spent quite a bit of time in the hospital afterwards.
Yeah, a lot. So that's why the bond between Jay and Fileti is absolutely strong. Yeah, because I couldn't do skin to skin, couldn't hold him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was Jay that had to step up and do all of these things.
Yeah.
And yeah. So they're like best friends.
They are, eh? They are.
They're absolute best friends, man. Like, they're frenemies. Like Jay's always like, man, if we have another one, like it, because Flatty's, he's Tongan. You ask him, I'm Tongan. It just runs through his veins. That's the only thing he won't agree with his dad. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
If you want to get him angry, you just say, hey, come here, little Samoan. He'll back out. No, he'll nah. But when he was young, because they were so tight, and Jay stayed home and looked after Fileti, which is another hard thing that we had to decide. Fileti knew how to sing the Samoan national anthem and everything. You know, he was, all into it, and I don't know what changed. But he just ended up wanting to be a Tongan.
So for a time there, Junior was a stay-at-home dad.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It just worked out better for our family, and we always don't do what
It's
we do.
Conventional.
We do what we do.
Yeah.
Because everyone has a say. Everybody wants to put their input, but they're not living our life. 100%. They don't know what our family life is.
100%.
So we do what we do, and it was hard. Jay giving up work and staying home, and everyone's like, "Whoa, that's not the normal." And why are you doing this and why are you doing that? So he probably copped a bit of flack around it for doing that.
Stupid, eh?
Yeah, but that's how judgmental our kind is sometimes.
So stupid. I did that. I did that. There was a time where I stayed home and looked after kids.
Yeah.
But it made me a stronger person.
Yeah.
It also made me, I think, like a better husband as well, because I appreciated like the stuff that sometimes my wife would have to do.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't just think that it's duties that women do, like washing and cooking and stuff, and not just things. And if you're listening to this and you think that that those are things that women do, they're 100% not.
Yeah,
every house should be equally run and it should be balanced.
Absolutely. Yeah, but we did cop a bit of flack for it.
Right.
Well, he did. Even some of my family members were like, whoa, this guy's got it pretty easy, blah, 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 and all of that kind of stuff. And and I was like, well, you do you, and we do us. Just get it, And like I did, I was like, don't pull out faults in my husband when I can see your eyes are black and blue sometimes, so we'll just leave it at that. And then in the car I go, and then, oh my gosh, it's just how I am.
Maria, come.
I can't. I can't.
Don't mess with this girl.
I've just been brought up that way, like just run of the mill. You know what? I used to play.
That's one of the funniest things I've heard.
I've always been like that. It's really bad. I actually don't really care what people think of me or say, because they're not going to live my life.
Good on you, man. Good on you. That, you know what that speaks to? That speaks to being very secure in yourself. That's why a lot of people worry about what people say about them and stuff, because a little bit of insecurity, a little bit like, oh, they might be right. Nah, man, if you're secure in yourself, it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't, who cares?
Yeah,
you know?
I actually don't. Yeah, and it's just, life's too short to live with chips on your shoulders.
Too much energy as well.
Absolutely.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Like, all the people that have to have this, like, fancy thing, and that, if they want that, that's them. But for me, as simple as we get. I actually hate the fact when I go with my cousins, they're like, yo, bank manager.
I probably would do that.
It's funny because we were going somewhere when my grandma was. Well, we were at my grandma's house and we were all going somewhere, and she sits on the ground. She sit on the ground doing whatever, and they walk past her like, Delo. There's, I don't know, 6 of me and my cousins, and she was like, hey, come back here. I'm like, what is it, Nana? Did you guys say, when we walked past her, she's like, who's the one that's got the one long sock and one short sock? And that was me. And she's looking up and she's like, it looks like the one that is wearing the funniest socks doesn't even have a job, but she's probably got the best job out of all of you. And I was like, she's like, go and change your socks. I was like, sorry. Okay, find the right pair of socks. Yeah, but because she's just looking at us go past, and in my socks, like, because I actually don't really care. I just chuck on whatever, and it is what it is. And she's like, I'm going to buy for them. I was like, sorry, no, okay.
She sounds like an amazing woman.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, but and she's the reason why I work for where I work.
Why?
So when I applied for jobs,
this is going to be a good story. I just know this is going to be a good story.
When I applied for jobs, I got 2 job offers.
Okay.
One at MIT, I can't remember what for.
Yeah.
And back then, like 65k.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took me back. What year would this be?
2000 and...
This is about 15 years ago, eh?
2003.
That's some good money. That's some good money, man. 2003, 65k.
65k. And then I got the bank offer, 24k. And so...
Something here doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then I was like... Obviously, I went to the bank, but...
Why?
Because my grandma said. So, I always did what she said, right? And I was like, hey, Nana, I've got 2 job offers. And she's like, oh, that's good. What is it? And I told her. And she goes, go to the bank. No, I just explained it one more time so you know. So this one and this one.
And this one's worth 1/3 of this.
Yeah. And she was like, go to the bank. Do you see the pay gap? Like, kind of back then it was, and she was like, well, go work harder to get that same pay.
Do you have any reasoning behind that?
No.
What was the exact job of the MIT one? Like, what sort of job was that?
It's like...
Obviously, it's
something to do with
manager.
finance.
In finance.
Yeah, I can't remember. Actually, can't remember what it was. It was like I can't remember what it was. But I turned that down. So
how did you feel turning that down?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a those foot there ones, eh? Oh, yeah. I was just sitting there. Because I never had a mum, I did, but my grandma was my mum. And like her words of wisdom was also... And I always listened to what she said. So I was like sitting there, foot there all around and like, no, kind of thing. And she was like, hurry up and, go and do it. But that was her reasoning. Well, if it's just the pay that's the difference, they go work hard to get that same amount of pay. Yeah,
It's kind of an old school way of thinking, but look at you now, man. And going into the bank, what sort of position was that? Was that teller?
Teller.
Yeah.
But and that was humbling as well, because I had a degree and I'm going in as a teller. And so when Nana said that, I went to Dad, because I went to Dad first and Dad said, "Oh, go next."
Here I am.
Siri, go to sleep. That is freaky. Siri, go to sleep. That is freaky. Here I am.
When I'm talking about my dad.
Oh my gosh. Does your phone ever do that?
Never.
It's never done that before. Okay. Okay, that just happened.
That's scary.
It's a little bit freaky, eh? That's never happened before. I've always have that. If you're listening to this, I always have a laptop sitting next to my camera, which helps charge the camera and keeps the camera on while the podcast is going. I've never had Siri just all of a sudden pipe up out of that laptop and talk. She just did.
That's okay, I better keep on going talking about the story anyways. Yeah, so go back to
being a teller at the bank with a degree.
Yeah, that was hard, because you got a degree and you expected to go into the big corporate world instantly. Got a lot of slack for that, but Dad just said, "I'll deal with the slack, you just do you." Okay, that's what we did. Yeah, so then I was always going back to my dad and my grandma. Yeah, so that's pretty much how I ended up in the banking role.
So interesting. So even though your mum died at quite a young age,
yeah,
and also your dad pretty much took you to your grandma and your grandma raised you, but so if you were to read that, you'd think that someone didn't have such a stable background, but your upbringing seems so solid.
I think because I had two foundations. And we've gone to YJ North and talked about financial literacy throughout my career, and just talking to those kids, and just telling them about my life and how things are, because a lot of people, when things happen in the past, they blame their future on their past, but I don't agree with that. Not at all, because the decisions that you make from here on in is all on you. What happened in the past, you may learn from it, but that, and it might be a bit controversial around it, because a lot of people, believe that past things that happen to you will make a huge impact, but the impact it has relies on the decisions you make in life. Like when my dad passed, I probably wasn't in the right frame of mind, because he was my rock. Absolutely loved him to bits, and I probably gave Jay a bit of flack for comparing him to my father, which was all on me. I shouldn't have done it, but he stuck around, so he's my rock. Even though people from outside think that I'm the one that calls the shots, it's not. He's the silent but violent ones, man. No, not that way. But when he puts his foot down, you've seen him run a class. He's all nice and stuff, but he does things a certain way. Yeah. So the resilience that you build now is probably going to help. Because I've got a passion for kids. Absolutely. They're the future of us. They're the future of the world. And how you instill the love into them now will be fruitful probably when they're adults. Because the love that I got from my grandma and my father and everybody else that, helped me throughout life is this is the fruit of their labour. Yeah, some of it some people probably think, oh, Kalo, why you wearing shorts and a t-shirt for? I've always worn shorts and t-shirt. Probably the first tomboy in my family, and now all my cousins wish they had a tomboy daughter, like, kind of thing. So yeah, no, that's how it is. And I talked about when my mum died and stuff, and they had an incident back then why I turned my back on my Maori side is because Manipoto, they're die-hard Maoris, and we are probably, me and my little sister and my other sisters are my mum's kids, are the only half island cousins or grandchildren that my granddad would have had. And then him being him, and like, I know I don't hold it against him, but he's like, get those bunga kids away from me. Yeah, so from then on, like, I was like, all goods, I'm out, and I'll just go Tongan. But I mean, now, like, absolutely love my cousins on my Maori side, still, and I'm trying to learn how to do a korowai.
Make one.
Make one. Yeah,
with the feathers.
With the feathers, because one day my son's going to graduate from something. It's going to have a significant life event. And I want him to stand there wearing the korowai I make, the ulawhale from the Samoan side, and, a mat to represent his heritage and
Beautiful.
Everybody that's gone before him. So I've got my cousins, we catch up every month on both sides, so my Tongan side and my Maori side. Every month we catch up or do whatever we can, and then I've just asked my cousins on my Maori side to, help me with this journey. They're like, oh, what colours would you want? So I initially said blue and yellow for the Highlanders, but then they were like, come on, let's make it. It's like, why did we have this chick here? And what significance has that got? But yeah, and then I was like, okay, let's go red and white for Tonga. And like, you did talking to the Maori side. I was, oh, okay then. And then, yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out what my story would be through this korowai, which hopefully will be like a taonga passed down from generation to generation. Yeah, so just reconnecting with them, and I'm trying to learn te reo as well, because I just feel I've got to connect back to my mum, yeah, and all the traditions that I mean, it was really hard. We had to rely. My sister passed recently, my older sister, and when we had to take, I don't know what they call it right now, take her spirit back to the marae. But when we had the initial family meeting, my cousins sat there and they asked for her body to be taken back home. And
where's back home?
Te Kuiti, to the marae. And what I was amazed was the language that they used to ask for her body back. Like they said, the marae has put out a karanga for her to come back, and that's, come, like, and just picturing from Te Kuiti the call for her to go back home, that just resonated with me. And then my other cousin stood up because, it was declined by her husband, but that's his right. And then my other cousin stood up and said, we gave you a gift, to her husband. We would like that gift back. And so that kind of opened up my eyes to another side of Māori culture that I have not been exposed to yet. Because you see here one side, with all the, whatever goes on in the news, but the underlying current of the culture that I've turned my back on, it's amazing. And no matter
Speaking
how
through imagery, a lot of it's there's a lot like pictures painted in your mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just speaking to one of my cousins, she came and hung out with me at my sister's funeral, and it was held at Otara. So we went to the flea market, and fellowshipping is like the best way that things are said. So I was sitting there, and she was just opening up my eyes to the world that I've turned my back on in terms of the language that they have. And then I kind of thought, yeah, you're right, because she said like the Maori language translated into English actually doesn't give it justice. And then I was thinking, just like the Tongans, like we say something and we crack up, but if it's translated into English, it sounds dry. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so she was just...
English language doesn't give a lot of languages justice.
Yeah, it doesn't, It's
boring. No, but it's true. It's like, I think every indigenous culture, traditionally, like if you go all the way back, they speak very metaphorically.
Yeah.
And it's the same Tongan, same Samoan, and of course be the same Maori as well. A lot of the language that is used is very as images.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just it just sat with me for a little bit. Like it all started when I went down to represent my mum when my mum's brother, my uncle, died. And starting from there, it's just built up, and then connecting back with my cousins and stuff. It's been eye-opening. And then I posted up on our page, hey, I want to do a korowai. Yep, okay, we got you, cuz, don't worry, and all of this stuff. And it's just been really good. And
have you started making it yet?
Nah, because we're supposed to go down to my auntie's birthday, but I was sick, so I didn't go. And Te Kaupata.
It'll take quite a while to make, I imagine, a full korowai.
Yeah, but I'm determined to try and do it.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got you call up one of the aunties and they come with a whole lot of tapa and ngatu and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But from my Maori side, I probably don't have that much. I don't know. My son might represent the Maori All Blacks or whatever it is, and he needs to know. And also, we went down to another funeral, and just seeing the Maniapoto haka, man, it just sent shivers down my spine. And I was thinking, man, if my son did one of those, but he has no idea, and that's my fault. So just trying to reconnect.
Hey man, it's better late than never.
Yeah. And he always talks about my family and goes, so which side is this, Mama? Like the Maori side or it's like it's the Maori side. Oh, okay, yeah. So so that's where that is. But just try to reconnect. It's going to be my big plan to do a korowai and see how lopsided it is. But hey, that's
it's special though when someone's handmade it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Gucci and Prada, that's all expensive because it's handmade. So you see some of the tapa cloths that, where there's lines that are slightly squiggly and stuff, because that the women have sat there and done it all by hand. Yeah,
I think it's even more special sometimes when you see slight mistakes done because it's actually done by hand.
Absolutely,
Having said that, a lot of Gucci handbags and stuff are mistakes of them because they're knockoffs.
Oh, you're walking around and in the bag for times oops, I just found out it's a knockoff.
It's Orahu Gucci.
It's the Gucci, not the Gucci. It's Prada, not Prada. One of those go to Otahu and I'll get that one. And that's just me trying to reconnect with that. Being blessed to be part of a family that has a land for us, and listening to the oldies talk about what they used to get up to with my mum. It's really hard to picture my mum and what she went through and how she was as a kid and stuff. But there's some traits that my auntie mentioned that I've got of my grandma, her actual mum. Yeah, so I was like, you can't walk away from blood no matter how far you try and go. That's part of that.
That's going to be such an interesting journey, for yourself and for your family as well, going down that path, especially trying to reconnect your son to that side of you as well.
Yeah, we stick out like a sore thumb because on the Maori side it'll feel short.
Right.
At my uncle's funeral, I've got another cousin who's pretty my height, so we'll be talking to each other, just looking at each other, but there's 5 people between us because they're so short.
You're just talking over their heads.
Yeah, we're just talking to each other, but there's sorry, what was that? Yeah, but lucky we got my dad's height because my dad was quite tall, so Yeah, even going shopping down there, I saw my auntie just trying to get there's all the perfumes, right? And she wants to get the one right at the top. So I just stood there and I just watched her, struggle a little bit. And then, oh, Auntie Shorty, that's what she's called. Do you want me to help you? It's like, you'd be standing there, you never... It's like, oh, sorry, just wanted some entertainment. So it is going to be an interesting journey, but it's a journey I need to take so that my son will be able to pick it up where I finish.
There's something else that you said before that really resonated with me, is when you said that what you thought you said was quite controversial. You know, when some people use things that happened to them in the past, they blame those things, whatever happened to them. I think there's a saying that's like, you are 100% not responsible for any trauma that happens to you. You're not responsible for that, but you are 100% responsible for fixing that for your future. So whatever happened to you, and people find different ways of dealing with it, whether it's counseling or, whether they went through abuse, but having to have a positive outlook on the future is so important because it determines what sort of person you are. You're either looking forward or you're always looking back.
Yeah. I think that says a lot, because if you're thinking you're in the deepest time of your life, there's always someone deeper.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, there's someone worse off than you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
about being grateful. Hey.
It's being grateful for what you have, and if you want something, work hard to try and get it. Because the harder you work to get something, the harder it is to take away. And it's like, that saying's been told to me by the two role models in my life. But yeah, and what you've worked hard to earn, that's yours. And that's the first step, then on to the next step, and on to the next step. Yeah, so that's just how, I do understand when people think that there's nowhere to go, and they're just in a sinking ship. But there's always someone that would love that person. You watch, what's that guy, David Lomas or whatever it is.
No, who's that, sorry?
That's the guy that finds missing people and stuff.
Ah, yeah, the bald head, Malangi dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reconnects long distance people that are like a brother or...
Yeah. So it's so funny because these people that have been adopted and stuff, they may feel in their lowest times, but there's always that parent that gave them away, always thinking about them. So that just made me think, if you're in your lowest time, there's always going to be someone thinking about you that loves you. But it's just you needing to pick yourself up to go at it again and again and again. Because what I've talked about is we've had there's a whole lot of stuff inside there that's probably I've had to pick myself up and keep on going. But once you find that purpose to pick yourself up and keep on going, then there's no stopping you. You mentioned, Jay and the way why he does things. He helps people and he keeps himself fit because he wants to run with his grandchildren. He wants to work out with his grandchildren. That's his driving purpose. He'll do it with his son, but just holding on to get in there to help his grandkid or whatever, that's his why. You alright?
Yeah. Oh, that's deep. That's real deep.
Yeah, so that's him. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's got any problems, any worries. The guy is as fit as... he's pretty fit.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and that's where... And that's he's... we're not talking about him, but, he came from Samoa, and he didn't have the privileges that majority of everybody has here.
Well, for starters, he didn't know how to speak English as well as you and I.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that as an immigrant coming into this country. If you don't have that first step, you don't have that first thing about about the language.
Yeah.
Then already you're put on a slight back step. So already that's a disadvantage coming in. But he's living proof though that if you, just like a lot of the people that have come from the islands that can't speak great English, if you have something and you set your mind to it and you have a good heart, you work hard at something, things will happen for you.
Absolutely. Like, you know, we made that decision for me to go to work and him stay home. It was through that because he was able to go to the gyms and stuff. And that's how we went to...
That's how it all started?
That's how it pretty much started.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because he was a stay-at-home dad?
He was a stay-at-home dad and wanted to still do his workouts and stuff.
Oh my gosh,
so
I didn't know that.
That door opened. So
was he into fitness before? He's a rugby player before, wasn't he?
Yeah, he played rugby.
Yeah.
For the counties, not counties Manukau, but the counties team like Payne-Smith and all of that. But it wasn't his calling. Yeah, and like if you listen hard, you'll find your calling. And so he worked and then left work to look after son, and then like I started working again. And then like son was going to school and we're like, mate, someone needs to be home for him. And so gave up work again, went through all that rigmarole around, you know, yeah. And then, but he started teaching our church actually.
Little fitness groups.
Yeah, like he started with our church in this little gym that one of his friends had in Otahu. And like, it wasn't the gym that he's at now, but humble beginnings, and he just made use of whatever that was, and like, you know, just getting feedback from our church, because we've got a small church, and all of that, and now, you know, he's doing what he's doing now, but yeah, so that's actually where it started, with him giving that up to actually find where his niche is, and he loves it, absolutely loves it.
You have to love something like that, otherwise it's just real exhausting.
Yeah.
But you have to have a real passion and a real drive to want to train other people.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like I've got a Tongan body, and everyone looks at us and go, mate, what's on with that couple? But we've always done us.
Your connection is real. That's why.
Yeah, like we don't mind having otai or whatever it is, you know, for dinner or things like that, or having just rice and custard, or, you know, that's how we roll. But if, you know, people try and get out of eating all of that, like, you know, humble food, but like that's where we're from. Yeah, I don't mind having tōpai. That's like the best ever. But anyway, even whakakai. So yeah, no, that's how we've always kept it real. We've remembered where we've come from. I've got no issues from eating the rotten fruit from those boxes. That's where you make the best facione. But anyway, it's my dad's jam. You know, and people have stewed fruit and stuff, you know, in their things. So sometimes you fly too high and it's hard to come back. Like when you come back down, you crash. But if you low fly all the time, mate, there's no difference in your life and no pressure.
Tell you the secret, you know those bananas?
Yeah.
I normally buy them. They're really good. Peel them all, freeze them. They're great for protein shakes.
Oh, yeah. See, that banana's my jam. Like, get in there, I'll just like cook vaishane straight away. And I'm trying to cook it and stuff, and I think he tried to make it. I was like, no, it's not like my dad's. Don't try it ever again. I don't know how to cook. And that's why it's so funny, because my family, they're like, Kalo, you don't know how to cook, you love rugby, you're wearing shorts and t-shirt. How are you going to find somebody?
Right.
And because I'm not the conventional deal kind of chick. Yeah. And they were all worried, but my dad had no worries whatsoever. He was like, that's all good for me. Like, yeah. But yeah, just ended up.
How did you and Junior meet?
At the clubs. Hey, it wasn't Lepuha, so let me just leave it at that one.
We can cross Lepuha after this.
Yeah, it's not Lepuha, it was Fins.
Fins
McCool's.
Manukau?
Yeah, back then.
That's so cool.
But yeah, we met there. One of my staff I was leaving, and Broncos right next door to it. Yeah, we went there for her farewell dinner, which was pretty much last minute, and then we headed over there, and one of my staff was his friend, So ended up coming over there, and then I thought he was lying because when we got introduced, I was like, oh yes, this guy's name is Junior, and I was like, you look Samoan and you got a Balangi name. It's probably like Pepelo anyways. So didn't make much of it, and then just all everything just fell into place. Yeah, no, he was a diamond that I found. Yeah, so no, he's my backbone.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Shall we burn some bridges? Tell me, what are you thinking?
Like, I was thinking, should I tell a story how we actually met, or like, because there's the truth and there's everybody else's story, like my story and his story, but mine is the truth. No, that guy.
I'm so glad I got you on the podcast.
He's his mates forgot him at the club.
Oh yeah, where?
So I gave him a ride home.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, how many years later? 14 years later.
Yeah, so some years later, and then we're still around. But he's that's so funny because we live like when I got my job, like $24,000 as a teller. What my dad taught me was, like, so as each year you get your pay increases and stuff, right? And then
that's just a blanket rule for working for a bank, is that right?
Like, doesn't everyone's vahe? Like, I don't know, because I've never worked.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but like, as if working for a bank, does it just go up a percentage?
Yeah.
It does.
It goes up a certain percentage because of inflation and blah blah blah. So.
Right.
Yeah.
No, not everyone's job does that.
Like I said, like straight out of varsity, like I had my like stats job, but yeah. Anyways, but even with promotions, your pay increases as you move up the ranks. But what happened with me, with my dad teaching me how to use my money really wisely, was like I started at 24,000 or 23, I can't remember, it must be 24. And then as my pay increased, I still lived on my 24, but the other bit I saved. Because if you're used to living on a certain amount of money, right, then it increases. What's the difference? Your eyes get bigger and you look around and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's what I actually did. And so we live life like that now. Like, we live off, like, I don't know how we live. But like the difference between the pay and stuff is when we go to like Japan, like England, and all of that stuff, that's where the other bits come in. So yeah, like, and just exposing my son to a whole lot of worldly knowledge that he'll never get living in one place in New Zealand. When we were in England, we stayed at Hendon, and it was quite a fancy place, not as fancy like the Ritz or whatever, but just learning how a butler would wait on you and things like that. It was really hard because he was putting the napkin over me. I was like, yeah, it's all right, I got it. But just trying to teach Feleti, all of that.
This side of life.
That side of life.
We don't have at home. Yeah.
But what's so funny was at that hotel, because in England, in some places, they're very class orientated. But I don't know what it was the caretaker or the maintenance man or something. He actually came up to us and said, "Where are you guys from?" I said, "Oh, New Zealand." And he said, "You're raising your son right?" And I said, "Why? How do you know?" And he goes, "Because he spoke to me and he played with me." And I was like, I don't understand. Because most people just ignore them and just keep on doing their daily thing. But Flatty went up to him and he was like, talking to him. He's only a 3-year-old, 4-year-old. And he started playing with him, like trying to like rugby tackle him or whatever it was. Yeah, and I was like, oh, thank you. So, but like whenever you can try and share love. And so my point of that story is just wherever you go in life, keep to your roots. So even though we're in a different country,
Remain humble.
Remain humble. But not as humble to be walked over. When people present and on the field, or the young boys are like, what, and all of that kind of stuff. And when they stand in front of people, oh, hello, my name is, that just really rocks me up. It's like, no, you come from a line of orators. Stand there, be strong, and show the people that you deserve, what you're talking about. So keep within your means, and all the cream of the crop, use it for something that will benefit you and teach you. But
that's such an important message.
That is probably the best message that I could probably get out there, and that would help people with their financial literacy or whatever it is. Because a whole lot of people, like, they move up, and your demands might get a little bit more crazier because your kids might go to another school, so you get that expense, like investment in school and a house will reap the rewards. You can't go wrong. And that's another thing that I've been taught. Jeez, my dad taught me a whole lot of stuff. Just realised.
And you dig a bit deeper.
Like all of this is just coming, like, to me it's probably second nature. But also, kids need to honour and respect their parents as well. Like a lot of times now they're like, oh, I'm going to call the cops and you can't do that to me. One of my cousins said that. I said, man, I'm going to... he did something, and then I was like, I'm going to dart you. This is when he was younger. And I said I was going to dart him. And then he was like, you can't do this to me because I'm going to call the cops and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, before the cops got here, all your body pieces will be everywhere. Oh, man.
I've had a couple of cops sit right there and tell me that they get those calls, and how they deal with them is like it's not that they don't take it seriously, but when they turn up, it's case by case.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's just talking to the parents and seeing what exactly is going on.
Yeah.
And this is sometimes there is like real violence that happens in the house.
Absolutely.
But 90% of the time, it's kids that are trying to get their back at their parents, which is strange, but it's a real thing. Yeah. Man,
the day that my son offers to me, mate, I love him so much, but mate, I will... Actually, I'm the disciplinary one. Yeah. Like, he could get a growling from his dad, and it's just the water off a duck's back. As soon as the mum gets involved, mate...
Something different, eh?
It's like, Mama, don't get angry. What is it? Like, straight away. The Tongan temper's coming out, yeah. It's like, well, but so recently, he came and said, don't get angry. And I was like, what is it? It's like, oh, a kid in my school called me fat. And I was like, what? You? Fat? You're just a normal sized Tongan. Like, and I context everything for him to accept that actually it's the kid's point of view, but it's not the reality. No, that came out wrong. But like when he's on the rugby team, he's not the biggest on the team. And the school kids that go to his school, like they're a lot skinnier, like Asians and Indians and things like that. So I said, for an islander, which is a majority.
So not many islanders at his school.
No.
Right.
So and so I explained it to him. He goes, okay. And I was like, look, when you go to the rugby team, are you the biggest? No. I was like, see, you're you're a normal size boy, island boy. It's like, okay, now I understand. But that's where there's another thing that we do in our rugby team is like we separate the forwards and the backs.
Yeah.
And then I try and explain. So Jay takes the backs and I take the forwards. And then, like, the forwards are looking and, the backs always get the tries. They're faster than us. And I was like, yeah, but if we need to muscle up, I'll be standing behind you guys because I know you guys got this.
They can only get the tries if forwards do the job.
Yeah, actually. You know what?
Yeah.
Forwards are the hardest working people.
Yeah,
just backs just, do their hair and just get the ball and drop it and blah, blah, blah. Anyways.
This has been a long conversation long-standing conversation that everyone has that point of view about forwards and backs.
Absolutely. But for me, how I use that is I teach the kids that they have a purpose in life. no matter how big they are, no matter how not smart they are, they've got a purpose in life. And using the forwards and the backs, like, their different talents. And even like within the forward pack, Filete's like one of the softest, but he would understand how to set that scrum. And without him, they don't know where they're facing. Like, honestly, I tried it. Give it to one of them, where? Kind of thing. So, but, or the other kids, locks in, you got to, so that's, like, I'm just trying to teach the kids, like, there is a place for them, just to help build that resilience and create that brotherhood and stuff. So, yeah.
This is under 8s, is that right? 8s?
So we're under 10s.
Under 10s.
Under 10s.
There's contact at under 10s, is that right?
Yeah, tackle.
When does contact start? Is it 9s or 8s?
8s, under 8s.
Oh, yeah.
So they play two years of tag and then get into tackle. But because of COVID, so we went up a grade, right? So our first year tackle was last year.
That's right.
And we only had a couple of games, and then COVID hit and then shut down. So we're actually learning now.
Right.
But and that's what I'm trying to, like, we're going up against kids that are way taller than us. And so we've had a couple of games, and I've gone up to the other team and went, we're 8 or 9 year olds. They're like, what? Because they look at our size and they go, are you sure? It's like one of the Tongan kids on our team, back in the days, probably a couple of years ago, said, are you sure that kid's allowed to be on your team? I went, yeah, there's the mum. Oh, okay. And there's the dad. Whoa, okay. Yeah, so, and I'm trying to explain to them, you are who you are for a reason. Don't think you have to conform to the world.
No, 100%.
Yeah, but social media doesn't help.
No, that's right.
And it's a certain way that they have to have their body, or a certain way they have to look, the way their body is. But I'm like, you don't have to do that. Yeah, so just trying to teach them. And
it makes you worry a little bit, because like that generation, they're going to grow up with it, so all around them, it's always in their face all the time. Yep. They won't always have someone like that saying stuff to them that you don't have to conform to that, like if it's always around them, it's always on their throat, it's always in front of them. Yeah, this makes me a little bit worried as a parent.
Me too, as a parent.
You just got to raise your kids with strong backbones and strong values and strong centers in themselves to know what their real worth is.
Yeah, because like for me, I'm learning from my experience where I only had 10 years with my mum, and I don't know when I'm leaving this earth, but the day I do leave this earth, I just pray that my son has got the knowledge that I wanted him to have.
That you've done enough.
Yep, that I've done enough. I've done my job, and that he'll be able to pick up and make use of that what I've passed down to him. So don't think, I'll do it tomorrow, whatever it is. We do it each day, even with his homework. Just try and he'd rather just rush his homework and go watch the TV and stuff. I'm like, son, we've only got one son, right? And what I teach you now would classify you as being like a really good worker for the company that you work for, a really good employee with great ethics, and someone that has a growth mindset. Because I find that when we're hiring people, we do have those people that were probably cotton balled around when they were younger, as opposed to the ones that are like, get in there and get some hard work done. So yeah, that's me trying to do the best I can while I'm on this earth.
You've just said such an important thing to say as a parent, is that you're raising someone to be like a functioning member of a community.
Yep.
You're not just raising a baby. You know what I mean? Like, of course he's always going to be your baby,
yes.
But like you want to raise a kid that can like stand up there and like pay his own mortgage and pay his own bills and be that person that can have a partner and have a functioning family and contribute back to their own community. You know the difference, eh? Yeah. Is what you just said. Like, then you have people that come to you for a job and they've been cotton board most of their childhood, which doesn't do anyone any favors.
Absolutely no. Yeah. Like they're probably the worst. It's the worst thing you could actually do to your child. Well, this is my point of view.
Is enable them, like when they, like when you set a boundary and they step past that boundary and then okay, then just this one time. But then they use that, and the next time that same situation happens, and you keep stepping back and back. So you start to enable that sort of behavior. So you make it okay. But you're the only person that's going to make it okay, because in the real world, like, It doesn't fly.
Prepping for the real world, and taking time off whenever they feel like they don't want to go to work, instead of, that. My mum said that. I don't care what your mum says.
Yeah.
We don't employ your mum. Yeah. And also involving him now into so I look after our family finances. And he knows that he's going to take it over the day that I, pass on or I'm unable to do this. So I involve him into stuff. Fletty, go give me the budget book or whatever it is. And we sit down, we work, and we talk about it and explain it to him. So he's got an idea of it. He saved his pocket money when we went to Japan because he really likes Pokemon. So I was like, well, he gets pocket money from his grandparents, doesn't get it from his mum because mum's too stingy. Anyway, and he saved that. He saved a whole lot of money, and then we converted it into Japanese yen, and we went over, and he goes, I like that one, can I get this one? I was like, well, it's your money. Do you want to spend it? Do you really want that? Or do you want to sacrifice it to get that Pokemon that costs this much? Yeah, I'll wait for my Pokemon. Because you get tempted all the time. You're tempted to buy whatever it is. But then the decision put back on him. This is how much money you have. The Pokemon costs this. You may find something else that you like better. We've only landed in Japan 2 days ago. Okay, yeah, no, I'll save it for later. Yeah, so that's just teaching him to do those simple things. We were at Kmart. Oh, sorry, I have to share this.
Tell me.
We're at Kmart, and I went with my niece. So this was when I was single and no kid. I went with my niece, Chika. Absolutely love her. She is my... she can make me cry instantly. I can't believe I just spoke about her.
This
now.
is your younger sister's daughter? Yeah. And what nationality is she?
Huh?
What nationality is she?
It's Tongan.
Yeah.
They live in America right now.
Oh, okay.
So when she was born, I thought I was my dad's little Billy, but then when she was born, I got kicked to the curb. Anyways, yeah, so she's got a little sister, so the two of them are living with their dad in America now. Yeah, and just with, what was my train of thought?
Kmart,
yeah. So I went with her to Kmart, and then I went, Chika, you can, I was like, I'll get what you want. And she came with a whole lot of stuff, and I said, Chika, you can only have 2 things. Or and out of those 2 things, you can only get 1 thing. Because we don't have enough money. I was a bank manager then. I had no responsibility whatsoever. We don't have enough money, but we're only going to get 1 thing. There was this Tongan lady not far from us, and she heard us talking. And then she said, spoken Tongan, because some people get a little bit of shock when they realise that I'm Tongan. They think I'm Samoan. Anyways. And she was like, haha, look at them. They don't have enough money. Go get she was talking to her kids. Go get what you guys want and we'll get that. And I was taken aback, and I just looked up, and I was looking at her, and she was, jeering at me, just looking down.
She doesn't think that you understand as well, right?
She did not think that yeah. So I was just standing at her, and the chica was like, Kalo, are you sure I can have it? Just only 1 thing, chica. It's alright. So and we bought that 1 thing, and then I'm just looking over this lady, and I'm just thinking, she's trying to outdo me, a total stranger.
I know.
That, and she's judging me because I'm telling this, this girl how you're only allowed to get 1 thing. At that moment, I was a manager then. I've been to Thailand how many times? Been to America how many times? But I'm still trying to keep it humble and try and teach my niece what to do. The moral of the story is this lady's judging me, trying to outdo me, trying to look like she's it to her kids or whatever it is.
She doesn't even know you. You don't even know her.
I don't even know her, but I mean, it was a significant thing because I remember it because it was ages ago. But if there's a whole lot of people out there teaching our kids that way to try and outdo somebody, you're never going to win.
You're never going to win.
There's gazillionaires out there. They could probably own the store and buy that one and whatever it is. So you're never going to win. Trying to outdo some stranger, that ain't going to do you any justice. And the seed that they're implanting into the kids and stuff, that's not on. Having Chika, now she's real stingy too. Not stingy, but she'll let's hold up, and that's what I want to pass on. But trying to outdo somebody else that's not going to worry about you for the rest of their life, that's not worth it. Yeah, so I thought I'd just share that because
That's a great story. That's a great story.
yeah, like who cares? Yeah, don't worry about other people. Just worry about yourself.
People so caught up in trying to impress other people, even strangers.
Oh, mate, don't even go there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, have to have this and have to have that. And we just walk around like, yeah, like don't really care. I do care. Change that. I do care, but I care more about what my family is going to go through and how prepared we are than what a stranger is. During COVID, we didn't know that I didn't know if I'm going to still have a job. You know, and like, you know, the gym had shut down and everything else like that. But we were ready. Like, you know, Jay turned to me and he said, "Hey, how are we going?" I was like, "No, we're good. We're good." Like thank God that the bank's still open and things like that. I still had my job.
Yeah.
But in that moment of time when he turned to me and he said, "Hey, how are we doing?" Because I deal with our family finances, and I was like, "No, we're good. We got this. Son's school's paid well in advance. Our power bill's well in advance. Like, everything's prepped."
Wow.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
It's very impressive. It's very impressive.
I don't think it's. Yeah. I mean.
You have you have like a real humble way of thinking about it, but it's very impressive, and it's why I wanted you here, because like no, but that's what our people need to hear. They need to hear it. They need to hear it at like a bones level, like just straight up. Like that's what financial literacy is. If you break it all the way down, it's that. It's like it's making those decisions to like go less rather than go more. Don't try and impress other people. Don't try and buy everything.
Yeah.
It's simplifying everything.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing around financial literacy is, and this is what I learned from my dad, right? Like whenever he did his, I don't know, should I talk about it? Like how my dad taught me about financial literacy.
Go for it.
Okay. So how he did it was, like, we didn't have much money, right? But how he sorted out the bills was, like, he'll have all his bills there, and then say the power bill is like $50, and like $50 a month or whatever it is, and then the bill comes in at like $40. He'll still pay $50. So that's $10 in credit. And then like the next week it comes in and it's like $45. He'll still pay $50. So you're building, so like in say, 3 months time, you've probably got like $20 credit already. And then it just flourishes from that. So if you've budgeted for it, pay it even though it comes less, because you're going to be in credit. And then we do that for all our bills, and then all of a sudden they owe you a whole lot of money and you don't have to worry about it. So when COVID hit, we didn't have to pay our power bill, we didn't have to pay our phone bill because we were in credit, so we were good. So that was less financial stress. So financial stress is probably a lot of reasons for domestic violence. I don't know the stats around it, but that's one less thing to worry about when the uncertainty happens. And if you budget it for it and you understand it, then just pay it. Don't use those $5 to go and buy you some fish and chips. It's not worth it. Put it in there. And also, like, there's some companies where you get discounts, like 10% discount or whatever it is, because you pay your bills in advance. You can't even get that in a savings account. So why don't you use that against them and save some more money?
Yeah, little gems, Kalo, little gems.
Yeah, so that's how paying that little bit extra will help you in the long run. Even on your mortgage, if you can afford like another $20 or something, that could easily shave off a whole lot of years of interest. $20 now makes a massive difference. $20 a week or whatever makes a massive difference in the long run. Yeah, so that's what I've learned.
Thank you. Hey, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
I know this is something out of the norm for you, but I also feel like, should you ever decide to quit being a bank manager, you could probably be a comedian. It's been a real pleasure to have you on. I really wish you and your family all the best. I mean that. And was it all day all right? Was it all right?
Nah, it It was thicker,
it's
but
different.
but I was trying to drink and talk
I
and
know.
not have those slippy sounds. And
Anyway, thank you so much, Kalo. I really appreciate it. Cheers.
thank you.
Now we can drink the rest of it.
Yeah, Garage Drinks with Mike.